family, so.
Okay, so it is 6 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting to order. All members are present except for Cheryl. So we will start with communication items.
All right, so we will start with our elementary school principal. So Mrs. Akerson, if you want to come on up and tell us what's happening. I will fill in who else.
We've had a busy couple months looking at February and now into March already. We wrapped up winter conferences with just over 96% of our families attending winter conferences. So just want to say and extend a thank you to families for making that a priority and coming in to join us. We celebrated I Love to Read Month throughout the month of February, and we closed it out with our school-wide book opening through Book Blast. And I just wanted to provide a little bit more context about Book Blast and how it was an opportunity for our students to build their home libraries. Each student was encouraged to send out 10 invitations to friends and family members, and then those funds went right back to the students. So it was not a school fundraiser, went right back to kids. And all of our students received a minimum of 2 books, up to 10 books total. And so we had like 3 pallets come in with boxes of packages, 1 for each student with their name on it, with their books inside. And so I'd like to share with you our Book Blast video here. You can see the excitement from our opening day. All right, so you could see the joy across the faces as they opened up their books and they were able to bring those home. With I Love to Read Month, I also included our new display this year, recognizing our million-word readers. And you can see we already have quite a few readers that have reached the million-word mark. And some of them up there have 2 and 3 million words as well. And so each milestone, they get an additional star. And so that's hanging up outside of the office to recognize students. So that's been a fun addition to our hallways this year. Looking at March, we recognized Kennedy Hoskins as our school social worker. And she serves over 60 of our elementary students in small groups, working individually on academic, social, and behavioral skills. So just wanted to say a sincere thank you to the work that she does. March is also Music in Our Schools Month. Backed by popular demand is our March Music Madness. So Mrs. Strand puts together a bracket of different songs, and this year's focus is happy, feel-good songs. And so she shares little clips and songs in the bracket, and then students vote and those songs proceed forward. Some titles that you might recognize: Walking on Sunshine, Happy Together, Best Day of My Life, Here Comes the Sun, and more. It's been fun to hear those being played throughout. Also big in March is our food drive, and so I wanted to add this flyer for our community to take a look at. I know this was put on social media as well, but really giving back to our community is what we are doing through the food drive. Upcoming dates, we've got end of the third quarter approaching quickly. We've got no school for students on the end of the quarter break day. And then Thursday, April 1st, April 2nd, I need to change that there, is our School of Excellence celebration. And so I've included the official community invitation here. We are including community members, family members, you as the board as well to join us on April 2nd at 1:15. The cover of the invitation was designed by one of our students. If you scroll down, here is the invitation. April 2nd at 1:15 in the Pays Gym. We did put a RSVP link so we can accommodate seating for families. Each student at the elementary is getting an invitation to color and design to bring home to their families tomorrow. So we're excited to be able to invite the community to help us celebrate in receiving the School of Excellence Award.
Are there any questions for Cassie?
No, but I do have a thank you, Cassie, being on the board for the Paynesville Community Service Center and what you folks have done in the elementary school for many years as far as March Food Drive. Thank you so much for that, and especially this year because of things that have happened, towards the end of last year and then what we've seen going in as far as this year. It's really needed. Folks do to help out other folks within our community. So thank you folks so much.
Our benches are filling up quickly with food items.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Rasmussen, you want to come on up and tell us what's been happening at the secondary building?
Good evening, everybody. We've had, like Cassie mentioned, a busy month since we last talked. And so I just highlight a couple of the things that have happened. So on February 25th, we did have our student reach presentation. We did 2 presentations, one for our middle school students and one for our high school students. A gentleman named Eric Samuel Tim, along with a band called Wonder State, was here. And so they performed live music, and then he came up and gave this powerful presentation on the power of words, talking about the fact that it's okay not to be okay, and that, if we're feeling things, we need to seek out help. And so just a really powerful message. You can see in here that he did live art drawings. There's some pictures of that. One of the drawings that was kind of a really cool aha moment is he drew that middle Einstein painting and he started drawing it upside down. And when I was watching, I was like, why is he drawing a big rock? Like, what's this? And then he flipped it over and it was Einstein. It was just this really cool moment. And I had a lot of fun watching our middle schoolers come in because as they walk in, there's this live band playing and they have smoke machines and all sorts of stuff going on. And it was like walking into a rock concert. It was just such a cool experience for them. So it was awesome. So I appreciate Student Reach. Thank you for every year they come here and they offer presentations. And so I'm really thankful for them. We did have Middle School Ag Day just last week here. Our 8th grade students participated in Middle School Ag Day. Middle School Ag Day is this hands-on experience where we bring in outside community members to give students different learning experiences in the area of ag. And so we had representatives from South Dakota State University. They led presentations on natural resources and food science. Our students did a metalworking demonstration led by McDowell. We also had groups come in who led floral design stuff. So they got to experience a whole bunch of different career fields in ag and hopefully to start igniting some passions and looking at, potential career fields in the future. Registration and conferences on February 26th and 27th, Paynesville Schools held our winter conferences. Families got to meet with their students' lead time advisor to get some data and to prepare for next year and register. So I thank families for engaging in that process and coming in and being a part of our winter conferences. Looking ahead, we have a bunch of things coming up here pretty quick. So Cassie started, we have a March food drive over here as well. Our student council is arranging that. And we're looking at, as donations come in, students get tickets to win potential prizes. And so we're kicking off our big food drive. Then this Sunday is our soup sandwich and song concert. And so there's a soup dinner along with a silent auction and then a bunch of different music presentations. So the dinner goes from 4 to 5:45. And then right afterwards, the 6th and 7th grade band performs at 6 o'clock. And then the high school or 8th through 12th grade bands and choirs perform at 7:15 to 8 o'clock. So come out and enjoy a wonderful night of good food and good music. Upcoming dates, March 20th, we're looking at the end of quarter 3. March 23rd, we're looking at no school. And then we have April 3rd and 6th are our no school. And then we have April 7th is a 2-hour late start. And then April 8th, I just want to put this out there and we'll send more information, but that's when our school begins MCA testing. We'll start with the reading test on that day. So just want to make families aware of that. As you can see down there, I left up my goals and that's sort of my presentation for this evening.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Rasmussen?
Again, I just want to thank you, Jesse, for what you do for the Paynesville area community center. So,
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jesse. All right, so it's been a little bit since we've heard about our activities, so we'll invite Mr. Hendrickson up and find out what's going on in the world of activities at this time of the year.
Yeah, so we put a close on the winter season and now we're shifting quickly into the spring season. We're thankful that we've had this warm spell, so hopefully that means when any other additional snow or rain comes that it should disappear quite quickly. We've had practices start today. We had track and field and softball start, and then baseball started their arm care week this morning as well. And then we've had past couple of Mondays, we've had some solo and ensemble contests for band and choir. And then Jesse just mentioned the soup sandwich and song coming up on Sunday. And then 3 consecutive Mondays, I think it's the 4th, 11th, and 18th of May, we have concerts for band and choir there too, so check those out. Winter season's a long one. We appreciate the crowd for coming in all the way from, starts in November, goes all the way into March. Definitely makes a better environment when we have a packed gym and hopefully we get a home court advantage because of that. I know our athletes and participants appreciate that. Boys basketball, we finished the second time in 3 years we finished as conference champions. A couple weekends ago, we had individual state tournament. We had Brooklyn Binsfeld, Tyson Maher, Jamison Maher, and Nolan Rolberg made it. So it was fun to go down on that championship Saturday to cheer on Tyson. We had a huge contingent of Bulldog fans there to support them and our other wrestlers throughout the week too. So that was just cool to see. As we begin the spring season, we're continuing to work on finalizing schedules. Most of them are done, but we're just kind of adding a couple things here and there and finalizing things as golf courses kind of get everything squared away. Some of them have new management. Some schools have different admin and things like that. Just trying to get all those different schedules finalized. So there's just a lot that goes into that. And then I just encourage our families to continue to check our online calendars for all that, and then get our forms and fees taken care of, either on the campus or in the office. And then have a lot of our JV and C squad baseball and softball games covered, but then we'll work on getting junior high games. So my yearly pitch to, if you know anybody out there, if you have somebody that's back home from college or anything like that, we're willing to help train some people. We can provide the equipment so we can get some of those junior high games covered. So I was just talking about our scheduling platform. Next year, we are transitioning to Bound. So all the conferences around us are transitioning to the north, we got Granite Ridge. To the east, we've got the Wright County. South, we've got Camden Conference. And to the west, we've got West Central. All these conferences, including our Central Minnesota Conference, are switching to Bound. So it's the company that runs our current online platform was bought out by somebody, and they've kind of decrease the functionality of it. I know schools are very frustrated and kind of irritated with how the transition has gone, which has kind of fueled conferences wanting to switch to this different platform. And then there are schools that have had this platform for 1 or 2 years already, and they just love it. They said it's much easier to navigate. There's a lot less chance of schools messing up a schedule here and there where things get miscommunicated. So should be a lot easier transition, but I'm in the process of doing the onboarding, and there's a lot of steps to that. So look for that to be rolled out sometime in July, August before we kickstart the next school year, so lots to get ready for that. And then just want to thank Paynesville Motor and Transfer. I know it's going to be a busy spring again with a lot of different events, and Mother Nature is very unpredictable with how all that goes. And they do a great job of being flexible and making things work and communicating with us if things don't work. How can we make it work with maybe using some vans or moving to a different date or changing times and things like that. So just definitely appreciate all that they do to help make it possible for our people to get where they need to go.
Any questions about our activities? All right, thank you. Appreciate being here. All right, and then we'll move into community education. Chris, if you want to come on up and let us know what's happening with community ed. That'd be great.
All right, kind of a short one, so we'll get through it here pretty quick. But we had information night on Thursday night. There were 15 families in attendance and handed out some other, for families who couldn't show up, handed out information. Our registration opens March 16th for the 2026-27 preschool and wraparound program. So March 16th, we get rolling. We have for early childhood, we have some special events. We have our spring fling here at the high school, in the high school gym on the 26th. And then shortly after that, our ECFE classes start. We have enough registrations to run both classes and hoping to fill out a few more families, but we have a good following. So that's very encouraging. And then our last special event will be the early childhood playground dedication and big truck night. And so I'll get some invitations out by the next board meeting for you, so you can mark your calendars. Our spring catalog is finished. We're proofing it and hopefully just going to be able to send that to the printer before Friday. I always like that day. That's just a big load to get done. So I'm happy to have that done. And then we also have our summer pause. We opened up our summer pause and the 2026 pause, which will also be in the catalog, but we opened it up and let all of our parents that are in our program know. So we're starting to take registrations for those programs as well. We have some upcoming events at the PAC and the auditorium. We just had a large volleyball tournament this last weekend, and on the 22nd there'll be a youth wrestling tournament. Then we have March 26th. It's a free concert. St. John's Men's Chorus. That'll be in the auditorium at 7:30 p.m. We have a mystery author panel that Great Rivers is hosting on the 27th, and then on 28th is the talent show. So that is a big weekend for auditorium usage and great arts events. And then the chamber will have their annual Easter egg and Easter event, and that's their poster up there on April 4th, Saturday, April 4th. They'll be hosting an event at the PAC. So our PAC is going to be a busy place.
All right.
Yeah.
Any questions for Chris? All right, thank you. All right. Technology. Leah, let's hear what's going on in the world of technology. It's been a little bit. Welcome.
Thank you. I'll just share a few highlights of what the technology department has been working on this year. Our goal really has been to make sure that technology supports learning while also keeping our systems secure and running smoothly. The aviation program, thanks to the grant secured by Tim Whaler, the aviation program upgraded its flight simulation computers. These new machines are amazing. They run the aviation software much more effectively and are also used by students in marketing, innovation, and drafting classrooms. First grade iPads we updated. The iPads used in the kindergarten and first grades were beginning to age and struggled supporting some of the apps the teachers prefer to use. By purchasing new iPads for first grade, we were able to move the next newest ones to kindergarten. So we were able to refresh 2 grade levels with one purchase, which really helped stretch our technology budget. I wanted to bring up AI. That's a big thing. It's becoming more common in education, and our district's working on how to use it thoughtfully to support both teachers and students. Our licensed staff are able to utilize AI tools like ChatGPT, Google AI, and Magic School AI. These tools help teachers create lesson plans, worksheets, quizzes, and project ideas more efficiently. The benefits we're seeing is reduced lesson prep time, ability to create more personalized learning materials, and using tools already available to us without additional costs right now. AI is really being used as a support tool for teachers, not a replacement for instruction at this time. Protecting student and staff data remains one of our top priorities. We use security tools such as Lightspeed filters, GoGuardian, Google Workspace security features to help protect students, devices, and our district data. We also regularly review our systems using tools like our FortiGate firewall, our Lightspeed, Clever, and Apple School Manager to identify and address potential risks. This is a big behind-the-scenes part of our job, making sure our systems stay secure and that student data privacy requirements are met. We have created a structured device replacement plan to keep staff and lab computers up to date. Laptops are on a 6-year cycle and desktops are replaced on an 8-year cycle. This helps us plan ahead and avoid a large replacement cost all at once. As we did last year, the plan is to, students in grades 6 through 12 will return their Chromebooks at the end of the school year for summer storage and maintenance. This helps us account for all the devices, complete repairs and updates, and reduce the amount of devices that are lost or damaged over the summer. We've also created a more efficient pickup process for open house to make the device distribution faster this fall. Overall, our focus continues to be supporting teaching and learning while maintaining secure and reliable systems for our district. Thank you for your continued support of our efforts. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Leah. Any questions for Leah? Before she's bolting off the hot seat? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right. And the person who loves the hot seat, come on up again.
Seats were really hot lately. Yeah, the big thing for me this last month has been staffing. You know, covering, trying to get it all clean, keeping the building clean as we can here. A little shorthanded, so appreciate all the help we've been getting for that and so on and so forth. So it's been posted. I'm getting a few interviews now, so we'll keep working forward. So other than that, we've been working on that science room. It's pretty much painted. Looks like the shelves for the cabinets will be coming here in about 3 weeks. Nathan's been having a little trouble with his router thing to make them, but he's working on it. He said about 3 weeks out, so that'll be nice. Get that moving forward again and looking like a science room. And been working on that Hall of Fame wall. Had the capsters class kind of helping out with that. Making more room because we're out of room for the Hall of Famers pictures. So we'll be able to get a couple more years out of it before we decide what we're gonna have to go forward with them Hall of Fame pictures and so on and so forth. And then air handlers, of course, started digging into that district office one with the AC unit, getting quotes on that AC unit, see what that's gonna run us. Working on the ones over the top, them 5 years where they're not communicating. So, any questions?
Maintenance, there's always maintenance.
Nope.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks, Ken.
Ken.
All right, moving on to achievement and integration plan presentation.
So Cassie, do you want to come on up and I'll pull up the document here? Sorry, I just had kind of a brain. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, I just, all is not in another window.
You said bring the call back to you.
Bring the call back here. Thank you. All right.
Wherever it went, we just bring it back.
Here we go. Okay, so I wanted to share this. That's what I was struggling with. Here we go. All right. Cassie, do you want to just take it away and then I'll fill in as
I'll jump right in.
perfect?
So in the fall, if you recall, we provide an overview and update of our civic plan and readiness plan. And so right now, you're gonna see a plan that's for the fiscal year 27 through 29. So we have 1 foot in our old plan and 1 foot here in our new plan. And so tonight is really giving you an overview of our new plan as we look to wrap up our old plan at the end of this spring. And so if you recall, achievement and integration is just that, looking at how do we provide achievement opportunities for our students and provide integration opportunities. And so because we partner with these other 6 districts, and you'll see an RI, racially isolated district, and A, adjoining. Because of our diversity, we join in Melrose, Long Prairie, Gray Eagle as an adjoining district, as well as Albany, Sauk Center, BBE, and Osakis. And so we collaborate together under the Lake Wobegon Collaborative to provide integration opportunities for our students to get to know other students across districts. So I wanted to bring that forward as we get started, because the achievement and integration plan has 3 goal focus areas. One being achievement disparity, one being integration, and then the third one is teacher equity, and then giving our students access to highly effective teachers. And so what you'll see tonight is our plan, and we will get a signature from Rachel, and then this does get submitted to MDE for their review and approval as well. So looking at our first piece, we have our goal 1, looks at the achievement disparity. And so when we look at achievement disparity, we identify where do we have achievement gaps across our district? Do we have subgroups that are underperforming than other groups? And so we typically look at our free and reduced and our non-free and reduced population. Because of our minimal numbers in racial diversity, we really want to stay away from identifying groups that are identifiable. So if we have a small group of students, right? And so we want to make sure that we're looking at groupings where we can't identify students because of the size of our district. Does that piece make sense? Okay. So we look at free and reduced and non-free and reduced students, and we have recognized there is an achievement gap there. And so our job is looking to close that achievement gap. And so we're looking at, again, similar to our last plan, the area of reading. And so we'll look at our non-free and reduced and our free and reduced eligible students in 2nd grade through 10th grade, closing the fluency achievement gap. And we want to close that gap by 1% year after year. And so for a total of a 3% reduction in that gap by 2029.
So one thing that I'm going to add is that this might sound a little bit familiar, because when we were talking about the comprehensive achievement and civic readiness and the district's goals, very, very similar. They're measured a little bit differently, but it's again about closing that achievement gap. Okay.
And then within each goal, we need to identify our strategy. Which strategy from a list that is provided are we going to use? And in this case, we're going to use the family engagement initiatives to increase student achievement. In a couple different ways, kind of 3 areas that will do that is to continue providing our explicit instruction through reading interventions. You've heard a lot about personal learning plans. We'll continue that work, grade level meetings, data meetings to determine who's not meeting the benchmark and how do we meet their needs. So through our MTSS process. The second area, which will be new for us, is hosting literacy nights, where we invite families in to have some learning strategies, some fun, of course, with literacy activities, and maybe some take-home resources to get families engaged, and how might they work with their readers at home to increase reading skills. And then thirdly, increasing participation in parent-teacher conferences. Really utilizing that opportunity to talk about how our students are doing in the area of reading and what might they do using our personal learning plans as that stepping stone from school to home. And so, working with Mr. Rasmussen and myself, how do we help families understand where kids are at in the area of reading? We've got some measurable pieces there that are outlined, measuring those in years 1 through 3. The second goal, as a district, we're going to be looking at increasing staff competency around cultural awareness and trauma-informed training. So how do we respond to students coming to us with varying needs, various cultural background? And so we'll do that through professional development opportunities, working closely with our district-wide staff development team. So how do we provide ongoing training year after year, where 100% of our certified staff would participate in that training? And then lastly, our goal 3 is similar to the previous plan, again, working with our collaborative of the other districts with that integration piece, providing students opportunities to get together with the other districts to learn about cultural awareness and how can we expand their experiences outside of Paynesville. And so we'll continue. I think I've mentioned before, we did an in-person gathering at the beginning of the year. This last one was virtual. And then we're going to end the year with another in-person because that was well received by the groups of students across the districts getting together in person. And so we've got some key indicators there too and things to measure with the different surveys and whatnot. Then just to summarize kind of what Janelle spoke to is this is really about creating efficiencies with the programs and with the goals that we're doing across the districts, and to eliminate duplicative programs. How do we streamline the work that we're doing? And so we're connecting those together. So Rachel will get a copy for her to sign, and then we will send that out to MDE for approval, and we'll get that budget piece submitted as well.
Any questions on the achievement and integration plan? All right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
sounds good.
Thank you.
All right.
Moving on to winter benchmark summary.
Mrs. Rasmussen, would you like to come on up? Do you want your folder? I didn't know. Is this just you or were you gonna include your?
Great question. Would you guys like to come up and join me at this little table?
I put it on because I knew that you were the spearhead, but we'll tap into them if we need to. How's that? Perfect. Okay.
Taking that as a no.
All right. So I think this is always a meeting that I get good feedback on, and I was excited to see kind of how our information is coming at our winter benchmarking. And so without going too far down a wormhole, I'm gonna just turn it over to you, and then I'll just interject when I feel it's necessary. Because that's just what I do. All right. Okay, the next one. Do you want to drive that?
For sure.
Okay, there you go.
Unless you.
Just click. Nope.
Okay. All right, so we want to remember the overall mission is to be able to equip our students with academic, social, and personal skills so that they can be successful in their career and in our community. Our main focus. So first, we're going to take a look at reading assessments. Just a reminder, we use FastBridge assessments. And with the new READ Act legislation, most schools in Minnesota are using FastBridge as their point of assessment. And so one of the things on my list of things to do is to reach out to Fastbridge and say, hey, since everyone in Minnesota is using Fastbridge now, can we get some state comparison data? That would be awesome. So first we have early reading, which is kindergarten and first grade. The little stars up there are the winter benchmark, so that's what we just completed, and then the fall shows where they came in at. That's kind of fun to see from last year, the district. Over here, these were fall, winter, and spring from last year, which is beautiful, and that's exactly what we want to see. And so it's fun to see that trajectory is the same for those.
So can I just say one point? When we met with our district advisory committee, they gave us some feedback in the way that we presented data, and they said it would be really helpful, instead of comparing last year's kids to this year's kids, can we just compare how our grade level students are doing? So what you're gonna see in that kindergarten slide is that the kindergarten is the kindergartners from the fall to winter, not last year's kindergartners compared to this year's kindergartners, okay? So the data is structured a little bit differently this year. And that was really based on feedback from our advisory committee saying this would maybe help us understand the data a little bit better.
Okay. Perfect. There we go. Perfect. So then we move on to fluency, and fluency with our students is we give them 3 grade level probes, and then they read each one for 1 minute, and it takes the middle of the 3 scores. And we know that fluency, how many words per minute our students can get, correlates very closely to comprehension. So when we are looking at these CBI thing we are looking at, but we also take comprehension into consideration as well. So we have 2nd through 5th grade up there. Fluency is looking great for our district. A little extra star on there for you. 6th through 8th grade. Next. Okay, so 9th and 10th grade, this was the first year, again, because of the READ Act, we are required to give an extra assessment to our students who are not reading at grade level. Well, in our district, we have decided that not reading at grade level is not passing the fluency test and the comprehension test. And then once they don't pass those, then we give what's called the CAPD assessment. But with 9th and 10th grade, they test, but we haven't given them the CDMR fluency test. In the fall for 9th and 10th grade, whoever didn't pass a reading, then we gave them the CDMR. And it's a one-on-one 3-minute each for each student. So the MTSS team from the elementary came over and we met with those 9th graders then and 10th graders. In the winter time, we thought we would just do it the exact same that we do all the way down to 2nd grade. And we gave that assessment to everyone. So if you look at the fall score, those are just the students who didn't pass the A reading test who were tested. And so that is kind of wonky. I would say that doesn't portray our student populations. And then if you look at the winter score, that is more accurate to where our kiddos are at. I mean, I do love how much we have increased since the fall time, but realistically, that's about where we are at for 9th and 10th grade, and then we'll continue to do that in the future too. And then we have our A reading scores, and A reading is comprehension. And these are, A means adjustable. So as a student gets one wrong, it gets a little easier, and then it gets the district overall from fall to winter, and then 2nd through 5th grade. secondary as well as 6th through 11th grade. And we have 11th and 12th grade are wonky again a little bit, because if there are students who are doing school to work and they aren't here during lead time, then we are trying to track them down to be able to come in and take those tests during one of their other classes. And that can be really hard when they have core classes that we don't want them to be missing, to have them take those. So I would say 11th grade is a little more accurate, and then 12th grade is kind of a little off. So then we move on to math assessment. And that's what this is, a picture of what that composite score looks like for math, for kindergarten and 1st grade. And then for the district overall, but then 2nd through 5th at the elementary. And the secondary. And then this is our beautiful MTSS team that I'm so proud of and appreciate them so much. We have our social workers who are part of the behavior aspect or behavior portion of MTSS, and they do a wonderful job. It's been really fun working with both of them this year and collaborating on some interventions with them. And then we have our math specialists over here at the secondary, and our reading paraprofessionals, and then reading specialists. We really could not do it without any one of them. We have an outstanding team, and it's a pleasure to work with each and every one of them.
Board members, are there any questions about the benchmarking for this winter?
The last one was on math. Okay, so explain what happened from fall to winter. So we look at some of yours and it shows an improvement. Theory being that they're not in school all summer long, right? That doesn't show it. So what's going on? Because that's something we've dealt with. This isn't new. Something we're dealing with. And that's, my gut is telling me we were not figuring it out. Or is that happening in all the schools in the state?
Also, yes.
Yeah, are they changing the rules, changing tests, or what's happening here?
Go ahead.
Okay, so a few things, and I think we could say similar to the A reading tests as well.
Yeah, same thing.
So we have been focusing so much on developing our tier 2 and tier 3 reading supports, which means tier 1 is classroom instruction, everybody gets the same. Tier 2 is, oh, that kiddo is struggling a little bit with math and reading, so what can we do to help them? And tier 3 is, this one kiddo is really struggling with these areas, what can we specifically do for them, not a group of them. We've been pouring into that for reading. Comprehension and vocab comes after fluency. So we are seeing a drastic upswing in our fluency scores. And it's really exciting to look at the longitudinal scores over the past 5 years because they are going up. Next in line then is the comprehension and vocab. And there's absolutely some systems work that we can look at. But naturally, comprehension and vocab, the A reading, comes after fluency. After fluency and being able to read automatically, that's when the kids are really starting to dig into understanding what it is they're reading. So 2 years ago. And at the middle school, we just got new curriculum this fall. New curriculum takes a good 3 years in order for teachers to first, second, third, to make sure that we are all spending time on similar parts of the curriculum, because there are so many things. I was just talking to Jenica Schultz for 6th grade reading, and she said, I could, if I did everything in the unit, according to that, what they're telling me, it would take me a quarter. Like it would take so much, and it's supposed to be a 2-week little guy there. So there's a lot of teacher discretion there, and I think some really good conversations that can be had at grade level meetings and have been having. Looking at math is our next focus. We had to really dig into the reading portion of it, and now that we have a well-oiled machine with reading, we are looking at math. We're looking at math curriculum for the elementary and secondary, and actually was another math curriculum meeting yesterday or today after school or tomorrow. That is actively something we are looking at. The structure of MTSS supports for math, we have had a math position open for the tier 2 and tier 3 extra help since last spring, and we weren't able to get anyone for that, and we've kind of shifted things so that we're able to use the resources we have here to start digging into that. And so we started a peer mentoring program. We are using the existing peer mentoring program to take a student, someone's beautiful daughter over there, to take a student who is willing and able and train them in the interventions. And she is actually going into kindergarten. She has 4 students she's worked with, and 4 out of 4 are showing growth on their progress monitoring. So that is very exciting. And then math in 5th grade as well. Diana Kemper has the power half hour that she's worked out in her system for that. And so we're getting them in there. Ms. Jacoby is trying to get in for different math interventions. Math, I think everyone is like ready and raring to go, and we need some time and money to be able to get the curriculum and to put some things into place. So I think if you look at the scores up there, remember that each percentage, it could be 3 to 5% is one student, depending on the grade. And so math does, if you can click to the next one, there are a couple of grade levels that are a little more than others. And then the other ones I would say are pretty darn similar from fall to winter. And you're right, that's not what we want to see at all. But please know that that is absolutely part of the conversation. That's part of the planning and process, and we are absolutely digging into that. And there is no magical reason or magical solution, but it's something we are absolutely digging into.
I guess I've talked with various parents, and I guess I struggle with it. Also in school, I enjoyed math, but now is it a requirement that we have to teach them new math? Because even the parents are struggling to help their kid with new math, and I feel that's why we're struggling.
Yeah, that would be part of the curriculum. And so the new math curriculum that we that we adopt, it really depends on what's in that curriculum. I think that there are different approaches, and we've kind of gone through a cycle of teaching new math for the sake of teaching new math. And the pendulum has kind of come back a little on, we want to teach kids how I know my kiddos in 2nd grade, when they bring their sheets home, there are some things that Sophie used to be able to go to Jeff C with, or I would push her in that direction because his brain operates like that. And then there are some that
Elementary and our barriers. And again, we don't know the other barriers because we haven't had the applicants. And so, you know, if there's nobody out there applying, then it's hard for us to bring somebody on board, so.
Not to go back, and I said this before, when I first got on the school board, we were right on the line, straight across the board. And I can remember specifically having a long conversation with the superintendent at that time while we were cutting out extra hours for the math department. Okay, it was like 3 or 4 hours. So I would consider that a good halftime person. I don't mean to be bad here, but I'm not seeing the change, which tells me that we need to look at this and figure out what it takes. Just because we can't hire somebody, we have to figure out how to get through that, because we're taking groups of kids. If you bring new curriculum in and it takes 3 years for people to get caught up to teach it, does that mean we sacrifice 2 years of kids' education that they have to have for the rest of their lives while we're doing that? I'm not sure I get that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or do we bring something in that's simpler to follow? But I know this stuff can be done. I've been reading a little bit about Mississippi and stuff like that going on down there. I'll tell you what, we should all open up our eyes here a little bit. They went from the bottom of the bottom of everything. They have no money hardly in their schools, and they brought these kids to the top. I go back to one meeting, I don't mean to talk a lot, but I go back to a meeting that I had at one of the conferences, and it was with a person that was involved with the educational department of the state of Minnesota, talking about mathematics. She herself took kids in a program that was failing and in 1 year turned them around. One of the things she talked about was if you talk to kids about math, okay, how do you get rid of that? How do you make it exciting? How do you make it interesting? Let's compare it to reading. You have lots of things out there that can generate, but how do you do that? And I don't recall, she had a whole method of what she did, but it was in one of the metro communities where they were having lots of trouble. She turned it around in 1 year. But I think we need to look at this because we talk about the MCAs. Okay, so we have the MCAs and we'd like that to look really good. We can't have another program that tells us exactly what this is telling us, just in a different format, right? We need to have a program that is achieving, that is growing, and it's going the right direction. And we need to make those analysis pretty fast because each group of kids that goes through, when they graduate from our school, what did we miss in their education that they need for the next 50, 60 years? It's really important. So anyway.
And I think that's why you did see a recommended dedicated math position in the budget last year. And that's why the plan recommended to have full. I don't know, Thomas and I were at the Capitol today and they were talking about a lot of the work with the READ Act. And essentially kind of alluding to math is next, math is coming. And we, there's a group of us that were part of a kind of a district, Resource Training and Solutions had an opportunity for us to come together and essentially look at our goals and what is it that we're working on and what do we need to be doing and how are we aligning our work. And we asked some questions about math because we brought our concerns. We need some support. We need some tools. We need some resources for interventions, just like we have for math or for reading, I'm sorry. And I would say even within the Resource Training and Solutions, Minnesota Department of Ed, they don't agree on how to do it either right now. So when we're looking for guidance and resource, we're saying, okay, we got to just figure it out internally. What can we do? Instead of waiting for, we don't have a person, what can we do in-house? And it's something. It's not just sitting and waiting for resource and MDE to figure out which direction we should go, but trying to build on what we do know and use the resources that we do have to try to make some progress.
Well, it takes me back a little bit, and I believe that 100% we need to figure it out on our own. But last time we went over this, I thought there was an area that the graphs had changed slightly because MDE had changed the process or something. I don't recall exactly what it was, but along with that, dropped all the history. Okay, if you're dropping all the history, you're just telling me your new process starts here and we want to see where it grows. I have no interest in that. I'm interested in how we achieved from this process to this process. That's why math programs keep on changing, because we're not analyzing them back to where we were. We're taking this glorious new idea and trying to do analysis forward. And as soon as you hit the end of it, 7 years later, they start a new program. This data's gone. Well, we have kids involved here. It's what they're leaving when they graduate from our school with that's important. All the rest of it doesn't really count. We have to figure it out. Well,
Is that required to, is that a required curriculum to do like the new math and have a special licensed math teacher? I mean, I hate to see it settle, but can't we hire a second tier math teacher just so we can get our math up?
So,
Or am I going down a rabbit hole here?
well, yes and no. I mean, like, so the rabbit hole of the state of Minnesota, Pellsby, is the licensing board that requires, they tell us,
They dictate the rules.
they tell us who can teach math. There are some ways if we find somebody who is really good with kids and they get numbers and they can teach math. We have some avenues and some platforms and some tools, but we got to find that person, and then we can try to work through that. But we aren't able to, if we hire somebody that's not licensed, we have a lot of steps that we have to take in order to keep them on, and then they have to be showing that they're working to get their license. So there's just a lot of hoops that you have to jump.
I guess, and I don't want to single out our math teachers now, but I would have to agree with Bruce. I think the last 5-6 years, we've really struggled in math, and I know the other schools have too.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer either. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel for you.
But I think we need to keep the conversation at the table.
Yes,
And I think
agreed.
that it needs to become part of our planning, and it needs to become part of, I don't disagree with you. Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
If you think of the person, I have a person that I've been listening to, who's connected with.
In the MD somewhere.
Okay.
I don't throw stuff away, so I.
Okay, if you find it, I would love it, but I
It'll
will
be in the office next week.
Someone
And I
who
don't
is
delete emails, so I got it somewhere.
Thank you for
Yeah.
putting this together. I
Yeah,
don't want to think
thank
that.
you for supporting us.
All right, so I'm gonna welcome her to the hot seat. She doesn't have to say anything, I promised, but I will invite Amanda to come up as we talk about budget revisions. So this is really the time of year you're gonna notice this is coming a little bit sooner than it has in previous years. And we've had a conversation around why that's important to try as we're moving into budget season to really have a comprehensive understanding of where our current budget is. So let me push play and I will share that. Okay. So the 25-26 budget, this document is going to be the same as you've seen as it's been proposed on this link. Here is the actual revised budget. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on here because I have narrative and explanation that's going to kind of walk you through this. But this is the document that you're going to see presented at the end of March for the budget revision approval. Okay. So let me go back to this document and we'll start walking through the specifics of it, okay? So this first document is really the summary of all of those areas. This is what the budget was based on, okay? This is what was approved in June. And then you're gonna see and I don't know why it got a little bit blurry, but the second slide is the revised budget. So we've kept the number of students the same because as I've shown you in past meetings, our student enrollment is kind of fluctuant. So we really try to keep that, unless we would have something really substantial, we keep it pretty consistent, okay? Where you're gonna notice the biggest difference is, I'll just pull out the general unappropriated fund. You're gonna notice the biggest difference there. Where we have tapped in a little bit to our fund balance, and it's going to be a little bit of a deficit, and I'm going to speak to you as to why that is. Okay. So our original budget assumptions, so this is again the same document that was shared with you when the budget was developed, and you're going to see, as I mentioned, that the budget was maintained at 898 ADMs. When it comes to expenditures, this document includes all of our settled contracts for our teachers, paraprofessionals, food service, at will, and administration. Principals and custodial maintenance remain unsettled. Okay, but those are the two units that have not yet settled. Okay, you will see one of the areas that we talked about, the math position has currently been removed from the budget because it has not been filled, okay? I do expect that's something we can talk about for next year as we look at how we structure this, but it did not seem to make sense to maintain that in the budget, in the revision, as we're in March, okay? Food service, there were no substantive changes from our preliminary budget. As with our capital funds, there are not any substantive changes. We've kept those, everything within there has been as we've kind of predicted it. The one piece that I will acknowledge is that we have not yet expended any money for the softball fields. That is going to continue to be an ongoing conversation, but it is remaining so that it's available as we continue to move down the planning process. Ongoing building and maintenance needs, there were no substantive changes from the preliminary budget, and debt service, there are also no substantive changes. These were the variables that we spoke about when we were developing the budget. So then I'm going to kind of walk into some of the areas of consideration. Strategic plan review, that's in process, and that has, we're on the next remaining steps of that. As Maria talked about the CAPD, that was an area that we had to take, we took into account that we had not yet, we didn't know what that was going to look like for the number of students and how much that was going to cost. So the secondary team, and Maria talked about that, administered 107 assessments. So that was, they did the individual CAPD for students. The cost for our district was about $2,800. So we kind of now have an area to know moving forward what that needs to look like and how that should, how we can plan for that within the budget. Some other considerations that impacted the 25-26 budget revisions. As Cheryl called out a couple of months ago, we did have to return $21,000 in COVID funds. Again, there's very strict criteria for the expenditures. And because we weren't able to expend those funds, they had to be returned. We also have had an increased number of students that are placed in care and treatment facilities. And that has been an increased cost to our district budget. We do budget for placements year over year. Unfortunately, the district really doesn't have an opportunity to provide any guidance or placement opportunities for students that are in care and treatment. And they're just very costly. So there was some additional dollars there. Budgeted for the paid family medical leave of $20,000. And one other variable that has come into play is our PSEO spring bill, which came in just after this data was presented. So those are some of the variabilities that have come in that really affected our general fund, which is, go back up to the top, which is where you see that the net difference on the general unappropriated fund. Any questions about that? And again, this will be presented again for approval at the March 24th board meeting. If there's not any questions on that, would you like me to move into
The budget.
the budget? Okay. So Amanda and I have also been spending some time talking about budget considerations and things that are impacting. So you're going to see this document, and I'm going to continue to build on it as we kind of progress through the budgeting season. So we have been working, one of the key factors, driving factors, is our student enrollment. We have reviewed our data with the West Central Education District to analyze caseloads. I do expect to propose a reduction of 1 FTE in special education support, but that will be through attrition, which would just be not rehiring a retired position. As we've moved into kindergarten, this continues to be a really volatile place for us to plan. What we do know is even just from where our predicted numbers are, students are graduating, we are going to make a recommendation to reduce 1 kindergarten teacher. That will also be through attrition. And so as a teacher retires, we will just not rehire and have 3 sections of kindergarten. I will make a plea for parents that if you have
Everybody. And we get too involved in that. And our idea is that the younger generation has that all easily accessible. That's not everybody. And it would just be interesting to see what it is.
Sure.
Because if all of a sudden we get there and at the last minute you're out there scrambling for another person, that's not really what we want to be doing either.
Yeah.
Know what I mean? I'm not saying we need to hire somebody for the position.
Yeah.
It would just be nice to kind of see what that was, to see if.
Yeah.
Don't want to reduce too much for the kids that are most susceptible to getting a good start.
Yep, and I think, you know, when this is not a reduced position, even if we get to April and we would find that we have a huge influx, we can post.
Right.
It's not, we're not reducing an FTE of a person. We don't have to do a non-requested leave scenario. It's because we have retirements that we haven't,
Right.
we can just.
My thought was the hiring process, give you some
Yep.
choice.
Yep. Okay. You'll also see, so one of the other areas that we are going to have to do an unrequested leave scenario is, and again, I'm looking to Ron, it has to do with licensure. So we have a 1.0 FTE who is filled by a half-time position that she's licensed, and then the other half-time of the position is an out-of-field permission. And we are not able to offer her that second half of the position until that position has been posted for 60 days. But if we don't reduce her position, she's entitled to a 1.0 FTE because she currently isn't a 1.0 FTE, and we really only need her 0.5 FTE for instruction. So that will be coming in March as well. The individual has been communicated with. If the other half of that position is not filled, you know, we're happy to extend a conversation with her about picking that back up, but it's the process that we have to follow. Also, another area that's just under consideration has been our Huddle and Bulldog live stream. Unfortunately, we've been evaluating both of those. Sponsorships have not transpired to be what we were hoping they would be. Huddle sponsorships to support the district's expanded use has only been $2,000 for an $11,000 cost. And so we've tried a couple of different methods to engage sponsorships. So what we're considering is proposing to return to just the base expenditure for Huddle, which is included non-commentary live stream for indoor activities in the fall and winter sports for 26-27. And then we've also had really extensive conversation around our Bulldog live stream that is run through Community Ed. And there's really twofold scenarios there. One is, as you can see, there continues to be a budget shortfall that it costs approximately $5,000 per season. This fall, we produced 8 events and we had 4 sponsors, so there was a deficit of $2,450. The winter season produced 7 events with 5 sponsors, so it was a deficit of $665. It's not in that capacity for the Bulldog live stream. That's not only about the funding and the finances. That is also about programmatic sustainability. We just don't have interest from students or directors who want to take it, who want to lead it, who want to run it. And so it's not sustainable. So what we've just really engaged in conversation is how can we, do we have anybody else who's interested that wants to come in? You know, Chris we've tried posting the job positions in a couple of different places. You know, I want to just take a minute to say thank you to Jacob Bertram and Jeremy Schmidt and Abe Dickhausen, Colin Fleischacker, Jordan Chavez and Caleb Freeler, who have taken and they've brought us through this whole year, along with some other, you know, you had a few other kiddos that would hop in there as local talent. And I can't forget Lee Schlaper and Charlie Stang, because they've been the voice. And I know that we've really wrestled with what to do with this, because we just don't have the funding coming in to support it, and we don't have the interest to sustain it and maintain it. And I think you could probably have Lee and Charlie sit there, but if you don't have anybody to run the backstory, it makes it really, really difficult. So that's just an area that we're considering, and because it has not been a break-even, those have not been break-even programs. So
I think it's good to look at. One thing for certain,
Yep.
if they graduate from our school, whether the sport was live streamed or not, probably is not going to be something they carry with them for the rest of their lives. Like on the other topics we were talking about.
Yeah.
And I feel bad, mostly for the public, if they can't see it, if we can't make it work. But it's not something that's going to be a detriment to students.
I would say maybe it'll be, you know, I mean, as Rick talked about, the experience for our student athletes when the gym is full. You know, I mean, huddle would still be for our, you know, for our volleyball and our inside sports, but it's really nice to have a lot of fans in those stands. So we are continuing, and we don't have the recommendations yet, but we are continuing to review our activity fees and our sub rates for paraprofessionals, for custodial. So we're continuing to take a look at those as we develop those budget areas. But I just wanted to bring you up to speed. Or do you have any questions for Amanda and I about kind of what we're developing thus far? Okay. All right, look at that, not so bad. Super. Not this time. Next time, thank you.
Moving on to our request for information roundtable.
I don't have anything.
All right, hearing nothing, then we are adjourned.